In 2015, the newly built three-masted frigate Hermione sailed from France to the United States, and on July 14 she reached her final U.S. port of call in Castine, Maine, not far from WoodenBoat's headquarters. This magnificent ship is a reconstruction of the Marquis de Lafayette's flagship from 1780, aiding the American Revolution. We joined in giving Hermione a warm reception. But when I saw this ship in 2000, it had no planking on it. It was a skeletal structure. The keel, the frames, the deck beams, all of that structure was in there, hanging knees, lodging knees. Everything was there, but no planking, so it was a great time for me to see this ship. It was beautifully constructed. The people who were doing this were extremely experienced timber frame constructors. From the main yard, which is that heaviest one on the main mast, there's a pulley with a line that comes back here, runs through as far aft as possible, runs through the hull and comes into a cleat there, and then that's one. And then the heavier line comes down through a pulley and makes off to this very heavy cleat here. The reason for this is that it's called a brace, and what it does is you're bracing around the yard, so you're rotating them around the mast. And on one side you ease off on the main brace, and on the other side you pull in, so it rotates the mast like this. And you do this for all the yards on the mast simultaneously, so that the whole thing comes around. It takes a lot of training, a lot of practice, and a lot of tradition to be able to say, brace around the main, and so then the sailors know what to do. They go find the right lines. They already know what they're expected to do. They know how the ship is supposed to look when it's operating. Brace it around, get ready for attack, whatever they have to do, and they have to be able to identify. So when you lay this ship out, when you've got these lines all coming down, there's a very particular order, and it's not like you just sort of pick a pin and put something there. Each pin is specific to the line that it's used for, so that's belayed there. So if somebody says braille the topsail, you know that you go to this line right here. It's not that one, but you know that you would have a line to go and find. There's another sailor over there. You know that he's doing that over there, and you're all working in concert. So it's quite a technical duty. And you get into a ship this complex, it takes a lot of people and a lot of hierarchical understanding, and the people in the higher offices have to understand the duties that they're assigning. So it's completely a team effort. We see it even in our schooners. I think there are some schooners here in the harbor. Schooners are much simpler rig to run, which is why merchants in the coast of New England shifted to that, almost exclusively to that rig. This is an earlier period. ocean sailing, lots of square riggers, went around the world multiple times. There's nothing wrong with the rig, but it is complex to run. It takes a lot of people. But if you've got 300 sailors on board, 300 Marines on board, you've got the people. That's not the issue. This ship is called a Concorde class. It fired 12-pound balls, and that's how ships were rated. The warships were rated at that time, not so much by their size or by their rig, but by their armament. So a 12-pound ship was a ship that had cannons that fired 12-pound balls. These balls are just iron balls. They don't explode. What they do is they bash through wood. And this is why the ship is heavily built. So if you're fighting someone and they're firing at you, a ball could come through here. It would go right through that wood. It's going so fast. It would go right through that wood and it would spray splinters all around here. If you're standing in the way of that, you're being hit by splinters that are the size of small 2x4s and easily be killed by that, not even being hit by the ball, just by the spray of the wood that comes through. So that's why these warships are heavily built. These cannon for this ship were cast in iron. From what I understand, they were cast in a technical school, a metalworking school, upstream of Rochefort, France, in the same town where the original cannon were cast. There is one original cannon on the ship here. It was recovered from the wreck of the Hermione some time ago. Every cannon in this period, every cannon is mounted on a carriage that has these wheels. When you fire it, it recoils. These lines here are meant to keep it from recoiling all the way back, so you have control over it. So the whole crew running around here firing this gun. Once it fires, it comes back in. You would reload it, run it back out again, and there's a touch hole here where you run a bit of powder in there, touch a match to it. The fire goes down through the hole, ignites the powder charge, and flings out the ball at very high velocity. They followed very traditional techniques. One of them was that they built a model of the ship ahead of the actual construction. It's called a dockyard model. If you go to museums in maritime museums almost anywhere, England, United States, Annapolis, for example, has a great one. The Fine Arts Museum in Boston, lots of places where these ship models exist. They weren't for show, they were actually for construction details. So the shipyard managers would have these models built ahead of the ship so that they would know if they were running into problems. They could predict that if the model ran into a problem with this particular fit of this piece, or if this knee was in the way of that gun carriage or something, then they would know that they had to fix it. They would fix it on the model, knowing that they would then have to fix it on the ship. So it's a much easier thing to do. It's like problem solving ahead of time. It's just like what we do in design today. If you're in a computer CAD design and you find out that the piping that you're running is in the way of a frame, then you know you have to fix it before you're doing the actual construction, so you don't waste material or time. And that's what they did in the shipyard. They also built those two ships' boats in the shipyard. They ran a blacksmith shop next to the dry dock where the ship was built, all through the process. The sailmaker worked extensively in the shipyard, doing all the massive amount of handwork that's involved in making these sails. Also, the rigging, all these blocks were made there in the shipyard. It was I would say it was a living 18th century shipyard for the period that this ship was being built. I saw it only briefly, and I would love to have gone back once a month for the entire, whatever it was, 17 years that the ship was built. I think it would have been a wonderful thing to see in every phase of operation. The skills involved in doing this are important. If you're going to have replicas like this, or if you're going to save ships like the USS Constitution, that are historic ships, or the HMS Victory in England, any number of historic ships in the world, if you don't have the skills to fix them, then the ships are doomed. And so I think that one of the great values of doing a modern reconstruction like this is that it preserves the skills, it draws people into the project, and in the end they have the skills that are necessary when it comes time to fix an actual artifact, something that really is in desperate need of skilled labor to get it back in order. And that's the way I feel about it.